You will never rise above the level of your environment for long. You can have the vision, you can have the hunger. You can carry the dream inside your chest like a fire that won't go out. But if the soil you're planted in is poisoned, your potential will rot from the inside out. Your environment is not neutral. It is never passive. It is a force. It is either sharpening your edge or dulling your blade. It is either feeding your discipline or justifying your distraction. It is either confirming your greatness or constantly questioning your worth. And if you don't choose your environment with intention, you will be chosen by it, shaped by it, defined by it, imprisoned by it. Your environment is not just the place you live, it's the energy you allow, the conversations you engage in, the voices you let echo in your mind, the standards you tolerate around you. The moment you begin to elevate, your environment becomes either your launchpad or your anchor. Look around. Are you being fueled or are you being drained? Every person in your circle is either a mirror or a mold. They reflect what you are or they pressure you to become what they are. Energy is contagious. And if you're constantly around people who shrink, you'll eventually forget you were born to expand. You cannot become unstoppable in a culture of complacency. You cannot become disciplined in a room where excuses are currency. You cannot become focused when your surroundings celebrate distraction. Environment is power. That's why lions raised among sheep forget they are lions. That's why eagles stuck in cages begin to envy chickens. And that's why gifted, hungry, brilliant people stay stuck because the air around them is too heavy to breathe. And so they suffocate quietly without even knowing why. Not because they lacked motivation, but because their environment didn't support their mission. It's not about arrogance. It's about atmosphere. It's about alignment. If your goals require fire, stop standing in the rain. If your soul demands growth, stop surrounding it with decay. If your future calls for war, stop hanging around people who only know peace. Because here's the truth. You don't need everyone to support you. You don't need a crowd. You don't need a cheer squad. But you do need a space that doesn't drain you. You need silence that helps you hear your own voice. You need people who don't let you off the hook. You need friction that refines you, not friction that distracts you. Growth begins the moment you stop asking, who's with me? And start asking, what's around me? Audit the noise. Filter the input. Elevate the space. And if you must walk alone, because walking alone with clarity is better than standing still with a crowd. Mindset is not just built inside, it's shaped by what surrounds you. What you hear becomes what you think. What you think becomes what you believe. What you believe becomes what you do. And what you do becomes who you are. So what are you hearing daily? What are you absorbing unconsciously? What is the texture of your environment? Is it soft and safe, or is it sharp and sculpting? If your environment does not challenge you, it will cradle you. And cradle dreams never walk. They never fight. They never break through. They die comfortable. They die slowly. They die calling your name as you walk away from yourself. Do not let that be your story. Create an environment that demands your greatness. That stretches you. That calls you out. That pulls you up. That refuses to let you settle. And if you can't find it, be it. Be the spark. Be the standard. Be the atmosphere changer. Because sometimes the most powerful environment is not a place. It's a decision. It's a room you build in your mind. A fortress of focus. A cathedral of discipline. A battlefield of intention. Your habits are planted in the garden of your environment. And if the soil is toxic, your discipline won't last. Don't just change your life. Change the setting. Change the inputs. Change the conversations. Change the energy. Because your environment is the stage and your future is the performance. You can't perform a masterpiece in a space built for mediocrity. So raise the room. Raise the frequency. Raise the expectation. And watch who stays. Watch who runs. Watch what grows. Watch what dies. It's not personal, it's alignment. You are not obligated to remain in spaces that choke your evolution. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to become. And becoming requires space. Becoming requires silence. Becoming requires standards. High ones, non-negotiable ones, ones that scare small minds and call forth giants. Because giants are not born, they are forged. Forged in friction, forged in fire, forged in rooms that demand more, not less. More focus, more courage, more responsibility. And that's the tragedy of staying in environments that drain you. They don't just cost you time. They cost you identity. They convince you that your ceiling is permanent, that your limits are real, that your ambition is too much. And slowly, subtly, silently, you start to shrink. You laugh less. You move slower. You question yourself more. Until one day you forget what it ever felt like to be powerful. But let me remind you, you are powerful. Not by accident, not by luck, but by design. You were built to expand, built to stretch, built to lead. But you can't lead in an environment where people fear the sound of truth. You can't fly in a cage made of comfort. You need pressure, but not poison. You need standards, but not sabotage. You need friction that refines not, friction that fractures. And sometimes the most courageous thing you'll ever do is leave the room. The one that praises your old self, but resists your new self. The one that applauds your stagnation, but mocks your transformation. You were not meant to stay small, just so others feel big. You were not meant to hide your vision just so someone else can sleep at night. There comes a time where you must rise alone, if necessary, because the cost of staying is always greater than the fear of leaving. And when you leave, something happens. The air gets clearer. The voice inside grows louder. Your focus sharpens. Your steps quicken. Because finally, you are aligned. Not just with your goals, but with your greatness. And now the work begins. You start curating everything. Your space, your sounds, your schedule, your inputs. No more passive consumption. No more ambient noise. Everything around you becomes intentional. Your phone is not just a tool, it's a portal. Your desk is not just furniture, it's an altar. Your playlists are not just music, they are primers for performance. Everything you touch either triggers your power or your procrastination. And you begin to notice what lifts you, what drains you, what sharpens you, what softens you. You begin to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Because your energy is the gateway to your action. And your action is the proof of your alignment. Look, your environment will either reinforce your standards or erode them. There is no neutral ground. There is no just chill. There is either intention or infection. So ask yourself daily, is this space lifting my vision or lowering my standards? Are these people multiplying my belief or managing my potential? Are my surroundings calling me to lead or lulling me to sleep? And if the answer burns, good. That's the signal. That's the fire. That's the moment you choose yourself. You will not apologize for evolving. You will not shrink for approval. You will not abandon your destiny to keep people comfortable. You will build the space you need to rise, brick by brick, choice by choice, habit by habit. Because you know now, environment isn't something you tolerate. It's something you design. Then let's keep building, because the environment you allow is the foundation you stand on. And if the foundation is cracked, everything you build will collapse under the weight of your own potential. Design is the new discipline. You must become an architect of atmosphere, where your desk is your war table, your phone, a weapon, not a weakness, your schedule, a shield that protects your time like a fortress, and your circle, a council of warriors who call you forward, never backward. You see, discipline doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in the air around you. That's why some people can walk into a room and feel smaller, because the room wasn't built to hold them. And it's not their fault, it's their responsibility. You do not wait for the right environment. You create it. You strip away what numbs you. You remove what drains you. You silence what distracts you. You elevate what sharpens you. Because the cost of staying in the wrong space is invisible until it becomes unbearable. It shows up in your energy, your sleep, your creativity, your courage. And when your environment is off, everything is off. It's like trying to sprint underwater. You might have the heart, but the weight will win. So lighten the load. Curate every input like your life depends on it, because it does. The books you read, the voices you follow, the spaces you enter, the tone of your home, the focus of your workspace. Every element must either multiply your mission or it has no place near you. You are not harsh for cutting out distraction. You are not cold for cutting off toxicity. You are not heartless for refusing to babysit comfort. You are focused. You are called. You are on a mission. And anything that does not align with that mission is a threat to it. So set the tone. Create your rituals. Design your silence. Make your morning sacred. Make your space unshakable. Because once your environment aligns with your identity, you become inevitable. Not because you're better, but because you are undistracted. And in a world drowning in noise, the focused one wins. Every single time. They win not just because they know what to do, but because they know where to do it. They've built a space that fuels execution, not excuses. They've removed friction. They've simplified. They've elevated. They don't rise by chance. They rise by design. And so must you. Because your greatness will not survive a low-frequency environment. It will be starved. It will be smothered. It will be swallowed. So protect it. You protect your mind by protecting your inputs. You protect your momentum by protecting your morning. You protect your future by protecting your space. Your space is your sanctuary. Your space is your strategy. Your space is your signal to self that you are serious. And when you are serious, everything shifts. Because when everything shifts, you shift. You begin to move differently. You walk into your space and it speaks to you, not with noise, but with clarity. It whispers, this is who we are now. This is what we do. And your body responds because you've trained it. Because your space is no longer a cage, it's a command center. Your goals aren't floating anymore. They're rooted in environment. They've got gravity now. They're reinforced by every corner of your life. And that's when your discipline deepens. Not because you're forcing it, because your environment expects it. Let me say this clearly. Environment is the cheat code. You can grind all day. You can hustle till your bones ache. But if your space is not aligned, your willpower will leak. That's why the gym matters. That's why your digital landscape matters. That's why your living room, your calendar, your inbox, your bookmarks, they all matter. Because everything you touch is either a trigger for momentum or a trapdoor to mediocrity. And here's the truth. Willpower fades. Discipline cracks. Motivation disappears. But environment endures. It outlasts your mood. It overrules your excuses. It resets your standard the moment you forget who you are. So, ask yourself, does your environment remind you of your power? Or does it constantly reaffirm your limitations? Every cluttered corner is a conversation. Every distraction you haven't deleted is a vote against your future. Every draining relationship is a tax on your greatness. And every courageous decision to clean, to cut, to change is a down payment on your destiny. This is where the shift happens, not in massive leaps, but in micro adjustments. You remove the app. You rearrange your workspace. You shift your morning routine by 10 minutes. You unfollow, unsubscribe, unplug from anything that doesn't feed the fire, and over time your life transforms. Not because you found more hours, but because you took control of the hour you had. Not because you became more talented, but because you became more intentional. And intention beats intelligence every time, because the smartest person in the wrong environment will self-destruct, but the most average person in the right environment will ascend. That's the power. That's the truth. That's the principle the greats never violate. They design their environment to demand their best. So design yours ruthlessly, with fire, with focus. Because once your environment is aligned, your excuses lose their oxygen. And when that happens, your execution becomes automatic. Because once execution becomes automatic, elevation becomes inevitable. But here's what the world won't tell you. Even with the perfect environment, you will still face storms, disruption, uncertainty, sudden change that hits like a thunderclap and tests every ounce of who you are. And this is where adaptability becomes your edge. Because the goal isn't to create a perfect environment that never shakes. The goal is to become someone who stays sharp even when it does. A champion doesn't rely on ideal conditions. They create rhythm inside the chaos. They use the storm as sharpening steel. They pivot, adjust, reroute not because they are weak, but because they are committed. Rigid people break. Resilient people bend, breathe, rebuild. And resilience doesn't mean you never fall. It means you get up cleaner, stronger, faster every time you do. But let's be real. It's hard to be resilient in a toxic space. It's hard to adapt when you're surrounded by those who fear change. It's hard to evolve in an environment where growth threatens the room. So again, your environment must support your bounce back. Not mock it, not slow it, not interrupt it. Because when life punches you in the mouth, and it will, you won't rise based on what you planned. You'll rise based on the systems you've built. And your environment is one of those systems. It should echo your standards. Reinforce your boundaries. Reflect your future, not your past. And when everything around you feels like it's on fire, your environment becomes the ground beneath your feet. The space where your habits take over. The atmosphere that says, we don't break, here we build. That's why learning never stops. Because the environment that fuels you today may limit you tomorrow. And if you don't keep learning, if you don't stay teachable, you'll outgrow the room and not even know it. Learning is not about collecting quotes. It's about collecting corrections. It's about studying your patterns, your energy, your space, and asking, where am I leaking power? What part of my environment is outdated? What needs to be upgraded so I can handle more? Because that's what growth does. It doesn't just demand more from you. It demands more around you. You can't hold a level 10 vision in a level 2 environment. You can't keep thinking like a seed when you've already started sprouting. And sometimes the boldest move isn't learning more, it's unlearning what no longer serves you. It's stepping back and saying, this space I once loved now, it's too small. This mindset I once needed now, it's outdated. This circle I once fit in now, it's a cage. Learning is the fuel that keeps your environment alive, fresh, and aligned. And you must never stop feeding it. Study energy. Study systems. Study excellence. Study those who've mastered their space, who walk into rooms and own them not with noise, but with presence. Because they've designed environments where clarity is king, where purpose is loud, where distractions starve and discipline feasts. And they live differently because of it. So must you. Because your environment is not a backdrop. It is the silent architect of your next breakthrough. Then stand with me, know in spirit, in soul, in fire, because we are stepping into the final stretch. Not with a whisper, but with a war cry. This is the moment you stop entertaining the lie that your surroundings don't matter. This is the moment you stop pretending that you can keep greatness alive while living in a room built for average. This is the moment you burn the old blueprint and draft a new standard. Your environment is not just something you manage, it is something you command. With authority, with clarity, with fire. Because from this day forward, every room you walk into should rise to meet you. And if it doesn't, then you either elevate the room or exit it. You do not dim your light to preserve comfort. You do not dilute your focus to appease the distracted. You do not lower your standards to protect someone else's ego. You rise. And if your environment cannot handle that, it was never your home, it was your holding cell. But no more. You are no longer available for energy that exhausts you. You are no longer accessible to environments that confuse motion with progress. You are no longer interested in playing small so others can breathe easy in the presence of your potential. Because now you know. You know that your space is your sanctuary. Your environment is your amplifier. Your surroundings are either fueling your fire or smothering your spark. And you've made your decision. You will not tolerate what drains you. You will only welcome what elevates you. And in doing so, you become something rare. You become untouchable, no, because life is easy, but because you've aligned everything around you to serve what matters most. Your vision, your mission, your rhythm, your becoming. And when everything around you is aligned, your decisions get faster. Your energy gets cleaner. Your habits lock in. Your progress accelerates. And the world feels you. Not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. Not because you're perfect, but because you're anchored. Anchored in intention. Surrounded by strategy. Fueled by focus. Driven by discipline. Held up by an environment that no longer questions your greatness, it demands it. This is your new reality. This is your new normal. This is the standard you defend with your time, your attention, your space, your soul. You think long-term. You act with urgency. You build a world around you that matches the one inside you. And now, you are no longer fighting gravity. You are flying because your environment, finally, matches your destiny. Every day you are casting votes, not with ballots or ink, but with your behavior, with your thoughts, with your rituals, with the way you spend your mornings, with the decisions you make in the quiet hours when no one is watching. You are voting for a life, either the one you want or the one you're willing to settle for. You don't need to predict the future to see where you're heading. You just need to look at your habits, because your habits are not random. They are architects, building something brick by brick. The question is, what are they building for you? Look close. The future doesn't come rushing in like a flood. It creeps in like a whisper, one small choice at a time. You eat the junk food just once. You skip the workout just this morning. You spend the money just this weekend. You delay the dream just until Monday. But the future doesn't care about your excuses. It only listens to your patterns. Your habits are your vote. And the ballot is cast in secret. But the results, they're always public. You don't get what you want. You get what you work for. You don't become what you dream about at night. You become what you do every day. Mindset is the first vote you cast. Because everything begins in the mind. Before you built your life, you built your thoughts. You rehearsed beliefs until they became real. You told yourself stories, and those stories became chains or wings. And the most dangerous thing about a story is that if you repeat it enough times, you'll start to live it even if it was never true to begin with. If your mind is tuned to scarcity, no amount of money will feel like enough. If your mind is set on fear, even safety will feel like risk. But if your mind is locked onto possibility, even the darkest night holds a sunrise. There are people walking this earth who are imprisoned by nothing more than old thoughts. And there are other scarred, bruised, wounded, who have rewritten their mind's story and now walk free. Not because life was easy, but because they refused to let hardship define them. Change your mind, and you change your vote. Belief is the second, not belief in the mystical, but belief in the practical. Belief that your actions matter, that your time is not cheap, that what you do today echoes into forever. You cannot outrun your beliefs. If you think you're unworthy, you will sabotage every success. If you think wealth is evil, you'll push it away the moment it comes near. If you believe people like you can't make it, you'll never even start. Not because it's true, but because belief is the thermostat of your behavior. It sets the temperature of your life. And no matter how hot your dreams burn, if your belief is cold, they will never catch fire. Every morning, look in the mirror and ask, what am I voting for today? Am I voting for power or for passivity? For clarity or confusion? For vision or distraction? Clarity is a vote. The world is filled with noise. Screens, opinions, algorithms that scream louder than your soul. If you don't protect your clarity, the world will decide for you what your life is about. And you'll wake up one day chasing someone else's version of success, wondering why it feels empty even when it looks full. Clarity doesn't mean you know all the answers. It means you know the question that drives you. It means you've taken the time to sit in silence and listen not to the world but to yourself. Who are you when there's nothing left to prove? What do you want so badly that it scares you to say it out loud? What dream have you buried because someone once laughed when you shared it? Clarity is not a luxury. It's a requirement. Because if you don't know where you're going, how will your habits know how to take you there? Vision is your declaration. It's the decision to see beyond your current reality, to look into the fog of uncertainty and say, I may not see the whole path, but I see enough to take the next step. You cannot build a life of significance while staring into the rearview mirror. Vision is forward-facing. It is rooted in faith, not just in what is, but in what could be. Your vision must become so real in your mind that it feels like betrayal to live anything less. You've got to see it when no one else does. Talk about it when others roll their eyes. Chase it when logic says walk away. There will be days you are misunderstood, days you look foolish, days you wonder if you're crazy for believing in something no one else can see. But that's the cost of leadership. That's the price of voting for a future that hasn't arrived yet. And what is vision without purpose? Purpose is not a slogan. It's not a tagline for your social media bio. Purpose is pain transformed. It is meaning forged in the fire of experience. It is when your deepest struggle becomes your greatest story. People without purpose are always tired, always drifting, because purpose fuels you. It doesn't drain you, it drives you. When you have purpose, discipline becomes possible. Discipline is a vote too. Discipline is not punishment. It's power. It's freedom disguised as structure. It's the daily decision to act according to your values instead of your moods. Anyone can act when they feel motivated, but discipline kicks in when motivation runs dry. Discipline says, I don't negotiate with my dreams. You want to rise? Then you must win the war within. The war against laziness, against excuses, against the seductive comfort of just this once. Discipline is setting the alarm even when the bed feels warm. It's saying no when everyone else says yes. It's showing up without applause, practicing in the shadows, honoring the process when the outcome is still a mystery. And once discipline opens the door, action walks through it. Action is a vote for momentum, a vote against paralysis. It is the muscle of success trained one rep at a time. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards results. Not because effort doesn't matter, but because effort without execution is just dreaming with your eyes open. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Start messy. Move quickly. Correct course later. Because the universe doesn't respond to hesitation, it responds to motion. A small step today is worth more than 1,000 perfect steps tomorrow. Action shrinks fear. It clarifies vision. It builds confidence not through theory, but through proof. Gratitude is your anchor. A daily vote for abundance. Because no matter how far you climb, if you lose gratitude, you will poison your own success. Gratitude is not a weakness. It is the muscle of strength. It trains your eyes to see gain instead of lack, to see lessons instead of losses. Gratitude makes you magnetic. It raises your frequency. It makes you trustworthy with more. because it shows you can honor what you have. You cannot complain your way into a better life. You can only give thanks until you become the kind of person who attracts more to be thankful for. And in this world, where change is the only constant, adaptability is survival. The rigid break, the flexible rise. The world will change, plans will crumble, dreams will be delayed, but the adaptable are not shaken. They pivot, they evolve, they learn, they bend without breaking. Adaptability is the vote that says, I'm not here to control the wind, I'm here to adjust the sail. Life does not reward those who wish for easier storms. It rewards those who become better sailors. Resilience is when adaptability becomes personal. When you rise not because you were never knocked down, but because you refuse to stay there. Resilience is a vote for identity. It says, I am not my failure. I am not my past. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Resilience isn't loud. It's not always seen. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed. Sometimes it looks like trying again. Sometimes it looks like holding on when everything says let go. But every time you choose to rise, every time you choose to keep going, you cast a vote. Not just for the life you want, but for the person you're becoming. And finally learning. To learn is to live. To learn is to stay young, to stay hungry, to stay humble. To learn is to vote for expansion. The moment you think you've arrived, you've already started to fall. The most successful people are the most curious, the most open, the most teachable. They read. They reflect. They ask questions. They seek wisdom, not applause. Your growth is your responsibility. Not your parents, not your bosses, not society's. Yours. So vote wisely. Your habits are not just routines. They are statements, declarations. They are voting every day, every hour, every moment for the kind of future you will inhabit. If you don't like the trajectory, don't blame the future. Change your vote. Because the ballot is still open. And today, like every day, you get to choose. Who will you become? What kind of life will you build? What will your habits say about you when you're gone? The votes are being counted. Cast yours with intention. Your future is not written in stone. It's written in your calendar. It's written in how you start your mornings and how you end your nights. It's written in the conversations you entertain, the boundaries you uphold, the temptations you resist, the promises you keep to yourself when no one's watching. And if you're waiting for the world to vote for you, you're wasting precious time. Because the world does not hand out crowns. It watches. It waits. It responds to consistency, not potential. And potential, unused, is just a silent tragedy. So many live like life owes them something. That greatness is a birthright. That showing up once in a while is enough. But the ones who win, they show up like it's sacred. They understand that excellence is not a gift. It's a pattern. It's a rhythm. It's the echo of thousands of choices made with purpose, not convenience. You can't fake alignment. You can't pretend discipline. You can't shortcut transformation. The life you want deep down in your bonesis, demanding proof, not perfection, but proof. Proof that you're serious. Proof that you're consistent. Proof that you're done flirting with your dreams and finally ready to marry them. You've got to move different, think different, be different. Not just once, but every damn day, until the person you've been pretending to be steps aside and the real you walks in, the bold you, the focused you, the unshakable you. And don't get it twisted, this is not about hustle culture or wearing exhaustion like a badge. This is about alignment, integrity, energy matched with purpose, action fused with intention. It's about waking up and living like your life matters. Because it does. Each day you delay, you're giving your power to the illusion of comfort, to the trap of indecision. But comfort is the enemy of progress. It seduces you into staying small. It whispers, you're okay right here, while your soul is screaming, you were made for more. And deep down you know it. You've felt it in the quiet, in the moments between distractions, in the stillness when the noise dies down. That subtle ache, that sacred discomfort, that's your potential knocking. Not gently, but relentlessly. But the door won't open unless you move. The price of the life you want is the life you're willing to give up. The habits that make you feel safe but keep you stuck. The beliefs that feel familiar but block your progress. The environments that feel comfortable but shrink your ambition. You've got to let go of the version of you that's addicted to average. The one who justifies, rationalizes, postpones, blames. That version can't come with you. You don't need permission to start. You don't need a better childhood or a new city or a different economy. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need everybody to believe in you. You just need one moment of truth. One moment where you stop explaining and start executing. One moment where you decide the pain of staying the same is greater than the discomfort of growth. Because make no mistake, growth will cost you. It will cost you your laziness, your excuses, your fear, your entitlement, but it will return tenfold what it demands. You want wealth? Then build habits that attract it. You want love? Then build habits that reflect it. You want health, joy, purpose, peace? Then stop treating those as accidents and start treating them like outcomes. You are not unlucky. You are undisciplined. You are not stuck. You are uninformed. You are not too late. You are too distracted. And the moment you understand that, everything changes. You were not made to live on autopilot. You were made to live awake, with eyes wide open, with a heart on fire, with the kind of clarity that makes you unstoppable. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because at the end of your life, the mirror won't lie. You will face yourself, not the stories, not the excuses, just the raw truth of who you became. And in that moment, when everything else fades, you'll remember it was never the big wins. It was never the luck or the breakthrough or the one shot that changed everything. It was the habits, the early mornings, the hard conversations, the reps when you were tired, the focus when it was inconvenient, the relentless daily vote for the future you believed in before anyone else saw it. That is the legacy. That is the victory. That is the life that waits on the other side of your discipline. So cast your vote, and cast it like your future depends on it, because it does. Your habits are the fingerprints of your destiny, and destiny does not respond to your words. It responds to your patterns, to the rituals you choose when the world goes quiet, to the priorities you enforce when no one is clapping, to the standard you hold not when things are easy, but when they are brutal. Some people pray for miracles. Others train for them. You were not meant to live at half capacity. You were not born to survive Monday through Friday and call it a life. You were not designed for mediocrity. And yet mediocrity is exactly what you'll get if you keep voting for comfort over courage. Courage is not loud. Courage is showing up again after you failed publicly. It's sending the message, making the call, applying one more time, daring to look foolish again. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's refusing to let fear be your compass. Every act of courage is a vote that says, I am no longer willing to be less than I was born to be. But understand this, you will not be rescued. There is no savior coming. No external force will change your life for you. The mentor can guide you. The book can inspire you. The strategy can teach you. But only you can move your feet. Only you can lift the weight. Only you can wake up early, study longer, train harder, dig deeper. Success is self-made. Not because no one helps, but because no one can substitute your discipline. No one can outwork your laziness for you. No one can override your inner dialogue. That is your responsibility. That is your domain. That is your throne, and no one else is allowed to sit on it. Own it. Every moment you spend distracted is a moment your future is slipping through your fingers. Every time you hit snooze, scroll endlessly, binge thoughtlessly, complain aimlessly, you are casting votes. Votes for a smaller life. Votes for regret. And regret is the heaviest weight a person can carry. It doesn't show up all at once. It arrives in pieces small and sharp. It shows up in the missed opportunities, the strained relationships, the wasted years, the dreams unlived. But here's the good news. Regret is preventable. Every decision, no matter how small, is a brick. Lay them with intention, and you'll build a cathedral. Lay them carelessly, and you'll build a prison. This is not about perfection. You will fall, you will slip, you will make poor choices. But the question is, will you stay there? Or will you rise with more awareness, more fire, more commitment? Because the greats, they don't win because they never fail. They win because failure becomes data. Pain becomes purpose. Setbacks become strategy. And each time they rise, they vote again. For excellence, for truth, for mastery, for meaning. Ask yourself, what do my habits say I believe about my future? That I'm destined for greatness, sir? That I'm just trying to get by? That I'm worthy of abundance, sir? That I'm just surviving scarcity? Your habits are honest. They don't lie. They will tell you what you really believe. Not what you say, but what you do. They are the most honest form of identity you'll ever encounter. So craft them like a sculptor. Be relentless about what you allow into your routine. Protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. Audit your environment. Audit your consumption. Audit your conversations. If it doesn't serve the future you're building, it doesn't belong in your present. You cannot afford to be casual about your future. The stakes are too high. Because here's the truth. Your future is not waiting patiently. It's being built with or without your participation. You're either leading the construction or you're letting default patterns do it for you. One leads to freedom. The other leads to frustration. And the world is already full of frustrated people. People who traded long-term joy for short-term comfort. People who gave up their power one excuse at a time. People who said tomorrow until it became never. But that doesn't have to be your story. You can rise today. You can change the vote. You can choose habits that declare, I will not waste this life. You can choose habits that wake you up at 5 a.m. because your dream matters. You can choose habits that build wealth not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. You can choose habits that make you proud not just when you win, but every time you look in the mirror and say, I'm showing up. And when you start stacking those habits, day after day, week after week, month after month, you'll look around one day and realize you didn't just change your life. You became someone entirely new. Because this isn't just about changing your results. This is about changing your identity. Identity is the root. Habits are the branches. Results are the fruit. You cannot grow apples from a tree rooted in doubt. You cannot produce greatness from a soil poisoned with shame. You must go deeper. You must rebuild from the inside out. Every time you follow through on a habit, you are proving to yourself who you are, not who you were told to be, not who you used to be, but who you choose to become. You are not lazy. You are unaligned. You are not broken. You are undisciplined. You are not unworthy. You are untrained. But all of that can change. The man who wakes up early and trains his body in the dark before the sun rises, he's not just building muscle, he's voting for a strong identity. The woman who opens her laptop every morning and writes a page of her book before checking her phone, she's not just building a book. She's voting for the identity of a creator. And that vote counts. Every time you say no to the old version of you, every time you walk past the distraction, past the drama, past the self-sabotage, you cast another vote for the person you're becoming. And eventually the scales tip. The evidence piles up. The world sees what you've known all along. You were never average. You were just uncommitted. You were never unworthy. You were just undisciplined. And now you're dangerous. Because a person with aligned habits, a clear mind, a solid vision, and daily proof, that person becomes unstoppable. They don't need motivation. They have momentum. They don't wait to feel good to do what matters. They do what matters, and that's why they feel good. They don't need applause. They don't need validation. They are living in integrity with who they said they would become, and that's the loudest statement of all. So, burn the list of goals if you must. Forget the dreams for a moment. Strip it down. Ask yourself, what does the future I want require of me today? What choices do I need to make? Over and over until they become part of my blood. What old habits need to die so that something new can live? And then make the decision. Make it with your feet. Make it with your hands. Make it with your calendar. Vote for the life that sets your soul on fire. Because that life is waiting for you not in the clouds, not in your fantasies, not someday. It's waiting for you inside your next decision. Inside the habit you repeat tomorrow morning. Inside the discipline you refuse to abandon when it gets hard. And the moment you align your habits with your highest identity, you won't need to chase success anymore. It will come to you, not because you begged for it, but because you became someone who belongs in the room where it lives. Then listen closely, because this is where everything changes. The moment you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, who can I become? You break free. The world trains you to seek rewards. It teaches you to chase praise, to count followers, to collect trophies. But the real game is not about accumulation, it's about ascension. Who are you becoming? Because if you become the person who never breaks their word, not even to themselves, you'll never lack confidence again. If you become the person who moves in silence but builds with power, you won't need attention. Your results will introduce you. If you become the person who honors the small disciplines, who protects their morning like sacred ground, who treats their purpose like a covenant, then the world won't have to open doors for you. You will walk through them. Understand this. Identity is not something you find, it's something you forge. In the fire of discomfort, in the repetition of hard choices, in the silence of daily effort. And this forging, it requires friction. You will feel resistance. That is proof you're moving. That is proof you're changing. Resistance is the tax you pay for progress. Pay it gladly, because there is something beautiful on the other side of resistance. Clarity, strength, freedom. But most people stop too soon. They want the results without the pressure. They want the glow without the grind. You must be different. You must fall in love with the process, with the monotony, with the reps, with the structure that feels invisible but shapes everything. Because when your habits become sacred, your results become inevitable. Discipline creates freedom. Boundaries birth breakthroughs. Systems set you free. You want to write a book? Write 500 words a day, every day without fail. That's a habit. You want financial independence? Track every dollar. Invest consistently. Delay gratification. That's a habit. You want a legendary body? Eat with intention. Move with purpose. Sleep like your life depends on it, because it does. That's a habit. The future does not belong to the talented. It belongs to the consistent. And consistency is not something you're born with. It's something you train, one habit at a time. So if the life you want feels far away, stop staring at the mountain. Look at your feet. What are you doing today? What are you refusing to do today? Because both are votes. Every yes you give is a no to something else. And every no you protect is space reclaimed for greatness. Your calendar is your character in disguise. So start treating it that way. Build rituals so strong that they pull you through the hard days. Systems so powerful that they carry your progress when your motivation is gone. Because motivation will leave you, but your habits will stay. They will shape you in the dark. They will mold your mind in silence. They will transform you when no one is watching. And that is where true power is born. Do not underestimate the power of the mundane. Do not overlook the miracle in the ordinary. Because greatness is not built in grand moment. It's built in small ones, multiplied over time, executed without excuse. So vote again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, until your identity has been rewritten in the ink of your own decisions. Because once you understand that your future is shaped not by intensity, but by consistency, everything shifts. Intensity gets the credit, consistency gets the results. Anyone can be intense for a day. Anyone can crush a workout, read for 2 hours, or eat clean for a day. But the future you want is not built in a day, it is built every day. Success does not respond to one-off inspiration. It responds to sustained obedience. to quiet, relentless follow-through, to the habit of showing up, especially when the mood to do so has long passed. That's the part no one sees. The late nights when you're still working after everyone else has quit. The early mornings when you rise in darkness with nothing but vision in your chest and conviction in your breath. The weekends when you say no to comfort and yes to discipline, Nino, because it's fun, but because it's necessary. The hard conversations with yourself when the mirror tells you the truth, that you're slipping, that you're capable of more, that you owe your future more than your present behavior is delivering. These are the votes that count the most. The private ones. The ones cast when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is even asking. Because success is not democratic. It doesn't count every vote equally. It weighs them. And the heaviest votes are the ones cast in silence, in discipline, in integrity. Do you want to know who you'll become? Don't ask your dreams. Look at your defaults. How do you act when you're tired? What do you reach for when you're stressed? Where do you go when life feels hard? That's your real life. Not your highlight reel, not your affirmations, not your someday plans, but your default patterns. They're speaking loudly, even if you refuse to listen. So train your defaults, sharpen them, rewire them with repetition. Because mastery is not magic. Mastery is muscle memory. And muscle memory is built through brutal, beautiful consistency. You must become the kind of person whose baseline is uncommon. Not because you're better, but because you've trained longer. You've suffered with purpose. You've endured what others escaped. And you've done it not for applause, but because mediocrity started to feel like betrayal. Yes, betrayal. Because when you know you're made for more, average is not just unsatisfying, it's soul-destroying. Your future deserves more than your convenience. It deserves your commitment. So lock in. Make your habits holy. Make your decisions non-negotiable. Make your time sacred. Treat your life like a kingdom under construction. Every thought is a blueprint. Every action is a brick. Every day is a vote. And every vote is declaring, I will not die with my greatness still inside me. You have work to do. Votes to cast. A life to build that feels like truth when you wake up, and peace when you lay down. And this is just the beginning. Then we continue, because you're not here for surface, you're here for substance. You're here because some part of you knows that you were not born to merely exist. You were born to build something so solid, so sacred, that your name becomes a legacy, not just a label. But legacy is not built in the spotlight. It is carved in the shadows. Every habit, every repetition, every silent vote you cast in the dark, those are the chisels shaping your future. And the most powerful lives are not the loudest, they're the most aligned. Alignment is when your habits match your vision, when your actions reflect your values, when your daily behavior doesn't betray your future self. Because that's what's at stake. Here, not just success, but self-respect. You can fool others. You can impress them with talk, with style, with a curated life of likes and filters, but you can't fool yourself. You know if you're putting in the work. You know if your habits are casting votes for your dream or secretly sabotaging it. And that quiet self-betrayal, it erodes your power from the inside out. Because the most dangerous lie is not the one you tell the world. It's the one you whisper to yourself. The one that says, this doesn't matter. It's just one day off. No one will know, but you will know. And that knowing will sit in your soul like a stone. You'll carry it. You'll feel it in your posture, in your energy, in your voice. But the reverse is also true. When you keep your promises to yourself, when you cast those silent votes of integrity, your confidence compounds. Your posture changes. Your eyes change. You walk into rooms differently, not with arrogance, but with certainty. A quiet power. A deep inner trust that says, I don't need to prove myself, I've already proven it in the dark. Because your habits either weaken your belief or weaponize it. You want unstoppable confidence? Stack undeniable evidence. Evidence that you train when it's raining. There is a law in life that cannot be broken, only delayed. A truth that does not shout, but echoes through every empty bank account, every failed dream, every bitter regret whispered in the quiet hours of the night. Your income will rarely exceed your level of self-development. Not because the world is unfair, not because fate has chosen others and forsaken you, but because life is not in the business of paying you what you want, it pays you what you are. You see, you don't get success by wishing for it. You get it by becoming the kind of person who can hold it, carry it, and multiply it. The wealth you seek, the freedom you crave, the influence you desire, they all demand rent. And the price? Growth, self-mastery, discipline, vision. That's the toll, not a dollar less. The problem is not the dream, it's who we are while chasing it. If your mind is cluttered with doubt, your time filled with distraction, and your days dictated by comfort, then the universe with all its riches will pass you by, not out of cruelty, but because you are not yet capable of holding what you're asking for. It's not about luck, it's about laws. And the first law is simple. Your external reality is a mirror of your internal capacity. Want to earn more? Then become more. Want to influence millions? Then master yourself. Want to build an empire? Then learn to rule your own mind. You are the ceiling. The world doesn't need another person who wants to get rich quick. The world is full of those. But what it does need desperately is someone willing to dig, to bleed, to stretch themselves beyond recognition and emerge as someone new. Someone forged in the fire of discipline, not softened by the comfort of excuses. Self-development is not a side hobby. It is the work. It is not something you squeeze in between Netflix episodes or after the dopamine high of scrolling has worn off. No, it is war. A silent war, fought not with weapons, but with choices, with habits, with how you use your time when no one is watching. Because that's where success begins, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. When you choose to read instead of scroll, when you rise early instead of hitting snooze, when you spend your money on growth instead of gimmicks, that's when the world starts paying attention. That's when you start attracting the kind of results that others label luck. There is no such thing as sustainable success without internal expansion. You want a 7-figure income? Then you need a 7-figure identity. You must speak, think, walk, and decide like someone who is already living at that level. You must be congruent with the life you're asking for. If not, it will slip through your fingers like sand every time. Think of your mind as a container, and think of success as water. You can pour and pour, but if your container is small, if it's cracked by fear, if it's leaking with insecurity, if it's shallow in depth, then the water won't stay. It will spill, evaporate, disappear, and you'll wonder why. It's because you never built the container. You never did the internal work. And so we return to the law. Your income will rarely exceed your self-development. Some people fight this law their entire lives. They try shortcuts, they chase hacks, they copy what others are doing, but nothing sticks. Because you cannot skip the part where you evolve. Money is attracted to value. And value is a reflection of who you are, not just what you do. That's why two people can be given the same opportunity, and one will build a legacy while the other squanders it. The difference isn't the opportunity, it's the level of development. Are you learning daily? Are you refining your mind like a craftsman polishes steel? Are you studying people, understanding systems, building habits that compound over time? Or are you simply hoping that one day things will change without ever changing yourself? You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. You can write your dreams on vision boards, chant affirmations, visualize success, but none of that will outwork a weak mindset, a poor work ethic, or a self-image that whispers, "You don't deserve this." And so we begin where all transformations begin, mindset. Your thoughts are architects. Each one is laying bricks, building either a prison or a palace. A poor person with a rich mindset will rise. A rich person with a poor mindset will fall. Because wealth isn't just about dollars, it's about direction. Are you moving upward, or are you sinking beneath the weight of your own limitations? The mind is a garden. If you plant seeds of discipline, of hunger, of curiosity, then your life becomes fertile with opportunity. But if you let weeds of doubt, fear, and procrastination grow unchecked, you will choke your own progress before it ever gets a chance to bloom. So you must tend to your mind like a warrior sharpens his sword every day, without fail. This is not motivational fluff. This is the foundation. If your belief system tells you money is evil, you will repel wealth. If your self-talk calls you lazy or unworthy, you will sabotage your own wins. If your mental habits revolve around distraction, entertainment, and instant gratification, then you will trade your future for crumbs of the present. Your mindset is the software that runs everything else. Upgrade it or be ruled by it. But a powerful mindset without clarity is like a Ferrari with no driver. You may have the engine, but you won't know where to go. Clarity is the compass. It's not enough to say, I want to be successful. That means nothing. Success must be defined, refined, and visualized down to the finest detail. Who do you want to become? What impact do you want to make? What will your days look like, feel like when you arrive? Most people are vague, and so their results are scattered. If your vision is blurry, don't be surprised when your life is a fog. You must see your future so clearly that it burns inside you, that it becomes the lens through which you filter every decision, that it creates a tension between where you are and where you must go. That's when transformation begins, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. And once you have clarity, then you need purpose. Because purpose is what keeps you moving when the passion runs out, when the novelty fades, when the applause stops and the grind begins. Without purpose, you will quit, because life will test you. It will see how badly you want it. It will delay the harvest, force you to plant seeds in drought, ask you to believe when there is no visible sign of progress. And if you don't have purpose, you will fold. You will retreat to safety. You will return to the prison of comfort. But if your purpose is strong, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not critics, not setbacks. Because when you are connected to something deeper than yourself, your energy becomes inexhaustible. Purpose is fuel, and from purpose flows discipline. Not the harsh kind, not the punishment kind, but the kind that says, I respect my future too much to betray it today. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. It is the daily choice to align your actions with your highest vision, even when no one is watching. It is what builds trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become dangerous. Because most people don't. Most people break promises to themselves daily. They say they'll wake up early, and they don't. They say they'll stop scrolling, and they don't. They say they'll focus and then distract themselves for hours. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at your power. You send the message that your word is negotiable. But when you say, I will, and then you do over and over and over again, you become unstoppable. Not because life is easier for you, but because you are stronger than what used to stop you. And this is what self-development is really about. Not reading 10 books a month, not listening to endless podcasts, not collecting quotes and calling it wisdom. It's about building a version of yourself that cannot be bought, cannot be shaken, cannot be stopped. A version that earns everything it asks for. Because your income, your relationships, your freedom, they are all reflections of one thing, who you are becoming. And the good news is, that part is fully in your control. You can rewrite your life the moment you decide to rewrite yourself. The minute you stop blaming the economy, your childhood, your boss, your partner, or your past stand, take full ownership. That's when everything changes. Because the market doesn't reward blame. It rewards value. And value comes from growth. Discipline creates the framework, but action breathes life into it. Because knowledge without execution is the most seductive form of procrastination. Reading about success, dreaming about wealth, fantasizing about freedom, it feels productive, but it's not. The world only responds to movement. If you're not taking action, you're not in the game. And action, real action, isn't always glamorous. It's often boring, repetitive, invisible. It looks like writing when no one is reading, showing up when no one is clapping, building when no one is buying. But this is where greatness is born, in the trenches, in the obscurity, in the grind that no one sees but you. Most people wait for motivation to strike, but motivation is a liar. It's inconsistent, emotional, easily swayed by weather, moods, or Netflix trailers. If you rely on it, you will fail. Winners don't move when they feel like it. They move because they decided to move. Because they know that every action compounds, that each small step forward is a vote for the person they're becoming. That showing up again and again, especially when it's hard, builds momentum, and momentum builds empires. But even with action, you must stay grateful. Not just for what you have, but for the opportunity to become more. Gratitude is not passive. It's not just writing in a journal or mumbling thank yous. Gratitude is fierce. It's the fire that fuels you when you realize you get to do this, you get to build, you get to grow, you get to climb mountains others only dream of touching. Gratitude turns pressure into privilege. It's what keeps you grounded when success arrives, and it will. Because when you combine mindset with clarity, purpose with discipline, and action with gratitude, you become a force. You start rising in ways that others can't explain, because they didn't see the war you fought to get here. But with success comes a new requirement: adaptability. Because what got you here won't get you there. Growth means reinvention. It means shedding skins, leaving behind old beliefs, upgrading your strategies. It means having the humility to say, I was wrong, and the courage to ask, what now? Stagnation is the enemy of momentum. If you're not evolving, you're decaying. The world changes fast. Technology shifts, markets move, people evolve. If you want to win, you must move with it, not reactively, but proactively. Study trends, learn new skills. Question your assumptions. Pivot when needed, but stay grounded in your mission. Adaptability is not weakness. It's strength in motion. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to adjust without losing your edge, to reinvent without forgetting who you are. And when things go wrong, and they will, there's one more habit that separates the extraordinary from the average: resilience. Because no matter how smart, talented, or strategic you are, life will punch you in the mouth. Plans will fail. People will betray you. Effort will go unrewarded. And you'll be tempted to quit. But the developed mind doesn't fold under pressure, it sharpens. Resilience is your capacity to take a hit and keep going. Not blindly, not stubbornly, but with intention, with strategy, with grace. It is the inner fortitude that says, I didn't come this far just to come this far. And you cultivate it by failing forward, by learning from losses, by treating every setback not as punishment but as preparation. The resilient don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback, as fuel. And this ability to learn is the final edge. The world belongs to the learners, not the know-it-alls, not the ones who flex their degrees or rest on past wins, but those who stay teachable, hungry, humble. Because learning keeps you sharp. It humbles the ego. It sharpens the blade. It ensures that no matter how high you climb, you're still willing to listen, adjust, evolve. It's what allows you to continue rising. And so, the law remains. Your income will rarely exceed your self-development. Not just your reading habits, not just your morning routine, but the totality of who you are becoming, your discipline, your decisions, your mindset, your gratitude, your adaptability, your resilience, your hunger to learn, all of it. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. So if you want more, become more. Because when you grow, everything else follows. The money, the respect, the freedom, the legacy. Your income is a scoreboard. Your life is the arena. And your development That's the game. And the game does not pause. It does not wait for you to feel ready. It does not care how long you've been dreaming or how bad you say you want it. The game is played every single day, with or without you. And while others are sharpening their swords, learning, adapting, evolving, you must ask yourself, am I growing or am I just going through the motions? Because motion without growth is a lie. We tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of change. Real growth is uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice. It calls you to release old habits, toxic patterns, familiar excuses. It challenges your identity. It forces you to confront the version of yourself that has kept you safe, small, and stagnant. And that version must die if you ever want to live a life that is truly yours. Let go of the false security of mediocrity. Stop clinging to the comfort of just enough. Because the moment you settle for average, you abandon the calling to become extraordinary. You were not born for survival, you were born for significance. But significance doesn't find you. It's forged through fire, through relentless self-mastery, through the discipline of showing up when every fiber of your being screams to stay down. Your success will never outgrow your identity. That's the truth. A man earning $10,000 a month with the mindset of someone who believes they're worth minimum wage will find a way to sabotage it. A woman handed a six-figure business with the belief system of someone who's afraid of failure will crumble under the weight of responsibility. Identity is the root. Income is the fruit. So if you want to change the fruit, you don't paint the apples. You dig deep, you fix the soil, you nurture the roots. You ask the real questions. What do I believe about money? What do I believe about myself? Am I worthy of wealth or am I afraid of being seen? And if the answers shake you, good. That's the beginning. Because self-development is not about pretending to be perfect. It's about becoming unshakably honest, ruthlessly self-aware, courageously committed to becoming more than you were yesterday. When you start doing that, when you start telling the truth to yourself and then acting on it, the world shifts. People notice. Doors open. Money flows. Not because the universe suddenly decided to be generous, but because you finally became someone who could handle the responsibility of success. People say they want to be rich, but do they want to be disciplined? Do they want to wake up early, manage their time like their life depends on it, face rejection over and over without flinching, invest in books instead of parties, silence their ego long enough to learn from mentors? Because the cost of success is never monetary, it's personal, and most are unwilling to pay. They want the lifestyle, not the life, the rewards, not the responsibilities. They want the mountaintop without climbing the mountain. But the truth is, no one hands you the summit. You bleed for it. You earn every inch of elevation with sweat, with sacrifice, with the daily grind of building a mind and spirit that refuses to quit. And in that climb, something happens. You become someone different, someone stronger, someone who no longer begs for opportunities but creates them, someone who doesn't hope for change but becomes it. This is what it means to live a life of self-development. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. It means aligning your habits with your vision, your actions with your identity, your time with your values. It means being obsessed not with the destination, but with becoming the kind of person who deserves to get there. And when you do, the income catches up, the success arrives, the impact multiplies, not as a fluke, but as a natural result of who you've become. You are not behind. You are not broken, but you are responsible for your future, for your development, for your life. No one is coming to save you, but no one needs to because you were built for this. So stand up, take the reins, look in the mirror and say, I will not betray my potential another day. Because every day you delay your growth is a day you delay your greatness. And the world is waiting, not for someone who wishes for more, but for someone who has become more. So grow every single day and never forget, your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will always rise to meet your level of commitment. Become the person who makes the impossible look inevitable. You are the seed and the soil. You are the architect and the bricklayer. You are the raw material and the sculptor. The life you want is not locked behind some secret code or hidden behind some lucky break. It is waiting for you to become the version of yourself capable of receiving it. Every day, you are either stepping into that version or stepping away. Every choice matters. The decision to read instead of binge. The decision to study instead of scroll. The decision to create instead of consume. These are not small acts. These are identity declarations, each one carving the blueprint of who you are becoming. And over time, those choices compound. That is the power of self-development. It compounds like interest. At first, it looks invisible. Nothing changes. You feel like you're working in the dark. No applause. No visible progress. But slowly, something shifts. Your posture changes. Your tone sharpens. Your thoughts evolve. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You attract different people, different opportunities, different results. And eventually, the world takes notice. People will call it luck, but you'll know it was work. People will call it talent, but you'll know it was time. Time spent in the arena, bleeding, doubting, failing, learning, rising. You'll know every scar you earned, every fear you overcame, every comfort zone you shattered. And you'll look back not with pride for what you achieved, but for who you became. Because the greatest reward of growth is not the income, it's the identity. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you built something real, that when the storms come, and they will, you won't be shaken. Because you didn't fake your way here. You forged your way here. Self-development is not a phase. It's a philosophy, a way of life. It means you never stop evolving. You never stop questioning. You never stop learning, building, refining. You walk into every room not to impress, but to absorb, not to be seen, but to see deeper. You seek wisdom like oxygen. You crave challenge like a warrior craves the battlefield. You embrace discomfort because you know without it, you die slowly, invisibly, comfortably. The comfort zone is where dreams rot. But the growth zone, that's where kings are crowned. That's where queens are built. That's where lives are transformed. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it's relentless. But that is the price of greatness. And let me tell you, it's worth it. Because when you wake up one day living a life that once existed only in your imagination, when you realize the freedom, the wealth, the power, the peace are all real, not because you got lucky, but because you became worthy, that feeling, that quiet thunder in your chest, it's unmatched. But it never arrives for those who wait, only for those who work. So don't chase the life, build the self, and let the life chase you. Let the income chase the value. Let the recognition chase the consistency. Let the world reward what you've earned through relentless inner transformation. You want more? Good. But don't just want it, prepare for it. Grow for it, bleed for it. Outlearn, outwork, outlast the version of you who was fine with less. And remember, you don't get rich by accident. You get rich by evolution. And evolution is violent. It requires death. The death of your excuses, the death of your laziness, the death of the smallness you've been clinging to. Let that version go. Let it die. And watch what rises in its place. Watch the world adjust to the new you. Watch the money respond. Watch the respect multiply. Watch the doors open. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Your development is your destiny. Guard it. Nurture it. Fight for it. Because everything you want is on the other side of the person you're afraid to become. So become them fully, relentlessly, unapologetically, and then keep going. Because there is no finish line when you're chasing your highest self. Because the ones who rise are the ones who don't stop. The ones who demand more of themselves when no one else is watching. The ones who understand that transformation is not a destination. It's a daily confrontation with every limitation you've ever believed. So let's go deeper. You want to change your life? Then upgrade your standards. Not your dreams, your standards. Because your dreams are already big enough. It's not the dream that's the problem. It's what you tolerate. It's what you allow. It's what you keep letting slide because it's not that bad. Let me tell you something. Not that bad is the enemy of greatness. Not that bad is how people stay broke. It's how people stay stuck. It's how people convince themselves that average is acceptable. Raise your standards so high that they offend your former self. Stop negotiating with your distractions. Stop flirting with mediocrity. Burn the bridge back to the version of you that settles, that complains, that hides behind excuses, that says maybe someday. Someday is not a strategy. It's a sentence, a slow death in disguise. You want to be wealthy? Stop tolerating mental poverty. You want to lead? Stop following your feelings. You want to stand out? Then stop blending in. Success doesn't respond to your intentions. It responds to your intensity, to your obsession, to your refusal, to live one more day misaligned with your potential. So get real. Look around your life. Everything in it, your income, your habits, your relationships, your body, your environment, it's all feedback. It's telling you the truth about your standards. Do you walk like someone who's going somewhere? Do you talk like someone who knows where they're headed? Do you live like someone who's done negotiating with the old life? Because every action either reinforces your current reality or rewrites it. And you can rewrite it. That's the miracle of being human. You are not a tree. You are not cemented in your circumstances. You are capable of radical reinvention. But that reinvention requires relentless alignment. Your environment must reflect your elevation. Your circle must match your commitment. Your habits must echo your hunger. That means making hard decisions. That means letting go of people who keep you average, even if they mean well. That means deleting the apps that steal your focus. That means saying no to the things you used to say yes to because your future demands it. You don't rise with weak boundaries. You rise with powerful choices. And once those choices are mad to protect them like your life depends on it, because it does. Your future depends on how fiercely you defend your focus. Focus is your superpower in a world designed to distract you. It's the difference between progress and paralysis, between a life that reacts and a life that leads. And here's the brutal truth. Distraction is not passive. It's a decision. Every time you choose it, you're voting against your potential. You're giving your energy to things that will never pay you back. But when you eliminate the noise, when you delete the non-essential, say no to the trivial, silence the constant ping of mediocrity, you start to hear something else, something powerful, something quiet, something you've been drowning out for years, your purpose. And purpose doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers in the moments when you're still enough to hear it. It whispers in the grind, in the tears, in the nights you keep working after everyone else went to sleep, in the mornings when your alarm goes off and you rise not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That whisper, it's calling you higher, not just to make more money, but to become more disciplined, more present, more excellent, more dangerous to the version of you that used to settle. And when you align with that purpose, you stop looking for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop explaining your hunger to people who are content being full of excuses. You just move. Because once you know who you are and what you're here to build, nothing can stop you. The world will try. The resistance will come. Life will test your resolve. But your roots will be too deep. Your vision will be too clear. Your identity will be too strong. That's what self-development gives you. Unshakable identity. The ability to walk into any room, face any storm, climb any hill and know that you can handle it. Because you've already faced the biggest enemy. You. And you didn't flinch. You did the work. You killed the excuses. You broke the chains. You chose growth over comfort, hunger over habit, discipline over distraction. And now you own your life. Because that's what this is about. Not motivation, not hype, ownership, owning your thoughts, owning your patterns, owning your reactions, owning your results. No more blaming, no more waiting, no more hoping, just becoming. Because once you become the person, the life must follow, and it will. Then listen closely, because we are entering the part no one wants to talk about. The lonely hours, the doubts, the days where nothing makes sense, and your vision feels 1,000 miles away. The sacrifices no one applauds, the battles no one sees, the weight of responsibility that success demands, the price you must pay behind the scenes so that the world one day sees a masterpiece. This is the valley, and every legend walks through it. Don't you dare think you're the only one struggling. Don't you dare romanticize someone else's highlight reel while you're knee-deep in your own becoming. Every person you admire, every titan, every leader, every entrepreneur, every world shaker, they bled here. They wrestled with doubt, with fear, with silence, with seasons of waiting and wondering, is this worth it? And the ones who rose, they weren't the most gifted. They were the most committed. Because success is not given to the most talented, it is given to the most disciplined, the most resilient, the most faithful in the process, when no reward is guaranteed. You want to stand out? Then withstand more. Withstand the boredom of repetition, the pain of delayed gratification, the tension of holding your standard when everyone around you lowers theirs. Withstand the pressure of staying focused when distractions whisper sweet lies in your ear. Just for today. Just relax. You've earned a break. No, you haven't earned a break until you've broken through. And even then you build again. Because this is what few understand. There is no arrival. There is only deeper mastery. The goal is not to escape the work. The goal is to love the work. To fall so in love with the process of self-mastery that the outcomes become a byproduct. To become addicted not to dopamine, but to dominion. Dominion over your mind. Dominion over your energy. Dominion over your time, your thoughts, your environment. That's the highest form of freedom. Not being able to buy anything you want, but being able to become anyone you choose. You want power? Earn it through restraint. You want speed? Earn it through stillness. You want income? Earn it through internal alignment so precise, so unshakable that the universe bends to your will. Because that's what happens when you rise in self-development. The world starts to reflect the power you've cultivated. People respond differently. Opportunities appear, not because you're lucky, but because your frequency has changed. You are no longer begging for success. You are magnetizing it, because success responds to energy. And high-level energy comes from one source: alignment. When your thoughts, beliefs, habits, and actions all flow in the same direction, when there's no inner conflict, no hidden resistance, no self-sabotage, you become a missile. Clear, focused, lethal. And that level of clarity, it's not found. It's forged. Forged in early mornings, in missed parties, in turned-off notifications, in pages read, reps done, hours focused, distractions deleted, silence embraced. That's where the edge is built. And when you've built that edge, nothing can touch you. Not the critics, not the fear, not the failure, because you've already been through worse and you kept going. You've already been the underdog and you turned it into fuel. You've already been counted out and you used it as proof that you were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand apart. And now you're dangerous because you no longer seek external permission to rise. You've become the permission. You've realized the truth. Every limitation you believed was a lie. Every ceiling was an illusion. Every doubt was an echo of a smaller cell phone you've long outgrown. You don't need to be saved. You don't need to be discovered. You need to keep developing relentlessly, daily, intentionally, unapologetically, because the people who change the world are not the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refuse to stay small. So rise. And when you've risen, rise again. Because the moment you stop rising, you start rotting. Stagnation is the silent assassin of destiny. It doesn't come with drama. It doesn't knock on the door. It seeps in quiet, subtle, disguised as balance, disguised as taking it easy, disguised as I'm good where I'm at. But you're not good. You're just comfortable. And comfort is the most seductive prison ever built. It makes you forget you were born for more. It wraps you in softness, while your dreams harden and your hunger fades. So don't settle. Don't plateau. Don't tell yourself this is enough when the fire in your chest is still burning. Because there's another level. There's always another level. More excellence, more impact, more precision, more presence, more power. And reaching that next level isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about elevating who you are when you show up to the table. It's about subtracting everything that no longer serves, cutting off the noise, releasing the lies, silencing the inner voice that still whispers, who do you think you are? You know exactly who you are. You're the one who didn't quit, the one who chose growth when others chose gossip, the one who trained in silence while others sought attention, the one who said, I will not die with my potential still inside me. That version of you, the one you're becoming, is your greatest investment. And like all investments, it demands consistency. You don't grow by sprinting once a month. You grow by showing up daily, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when no one is clapping, because those are the days that count. Those are the bricks that build the legacy. A house isn't built by laying one spectacular brick. It's built by laying ordinary bricks exceptionally well, day after day, without fail. So show up. Sharpen your habits until they become armor. Sharpen your words until they become commands. Sharpen your mind until it slices through doubt like steel through silk. Because life doesn't reward those who dabble, it rewards those who decide. And once you decide, once you fully commit to becoming the highest, most powerful, most developed version of yourself, everything changes. You start to move different, think different, choose different. You start making decisions from vision, not from fear. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop justifying mediocrity. You stop explaining your ambition to people who aren't qualified to judge it. You go all in, not halfway. Not, let's see how this goes. Not, I'll try for a few weeks. All in. Because the life you want isn't waiting at the shore, it's out in the deep water. Past the fear, past the failure, past the point of no return. And only those who burn the boats, only those who decide there is no plan B, only those who say, this is who I am now, they're the ones who reach it. So burn the boats. Decide that your old life is no longer available. Decide that your old excuses have expired. Decide that average is no longer your identity. And from that place, from that intensity build, brick by brick, thought by thought, habit by habit, until the day you wake up and realize you didn't just change your income, you changed everything. Because the moment you realize that you didn't just change your income, but your identity, your capacity, your destiny, that's when the real power begins. See, most people are trying to have before they become. They want the money before the maturity. They want the freedom before the discipline. They want the recognition before they've conquered their private battles. But the universe doesn't work like that. It pays in proportion to who you are, not just what you do. And if you haven't become the kind of person who can carry the weight of the life you're asking for, you'll collapse under its pressure. It'll be too much, too fast, too fragile. That's why self-development isn't just about growth. It's about foundation. You don't build a skyscraper on sand. You dig, you fortify. You lay steel beneath the surface before you rise. Same with you. If you want to go high, you must go deep. You must confront the parts of yourself that are weak, the parts that avoid discomfort, the parts that procrastinate, that fear rejection, that sabotage progress. You must sit in silence and ask, what am I still carrying that's weighing down my potential? And then release it. Let go of the victim stories. Let go of the scarcity mindset. Let go of the approval addiction. Let go of the identity that was shaped by fear instead of vision. And then replace it with strength, with intention, with the belief that you are not here to play small. You are not here to repeat the past. You are not here to survive. You are here to build. And builders don't beg. They don't whine. They don't wait. They build, even in the dark, even in the silence, even when no one understands why they're so committed, why they keep showing up, why they keep saying no to distractions. Because builders know, eventually, the structure rises. And when it does, the same people who mocked the foundation will marvel at the skyline. But by then it won't even matter, because the builder isn't building for applause. He's building because it's who he is. That's the shift. When growth is no longer something you do, it's who you are. When your identity is so aligned, so dialed in, that excellence becomes effortless. Not because it's easy, but because it's standard. Because now you don't need motivation. You've got mission. You don't need hype. You've got habits. You don't need to feel ready. You've got rhythm. And rhythm is where the real success happens. In the boring, in the repetition, in the early mornings, the late nights, the hours of work when no one's watching. That's where your edge is built. That's where champions are made. The grind isn't glamorous, but it's where greatness is born. So stop looking for the magic. You are the magic. You become it through work, through sacrifice, through relentless self-development. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, your excuses, your laziness, your victimhood, your need for validation, your craving for ease. But it will give you something far greater. It will give you mastery. Mastery of your time. Mastery of your emotions. Mastery of your environment. Mastery of your money. Not just earning it, but managing it, multiplying it, directing it toward legacy instead of lifestyle. Because that's the final layer. Wealth with wisdom. Not riches for ego, but riches for impact. To give, to build, to fund your vision, to set your family free, to expand your reach, to be the one who broke the cycle. And the only way you earn that kind of wealth is by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So, become the person who attracts greatness as a side effect of alignment. And never forget this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. But you are responsible for every result, every habit, every inch of progressor, the lack of it. This is your life, your future, your legacy, and no one is coming to write it for you. So get up, get disciplined, get focused, get obsessed, and never stop developing. Because in the end, your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will never exceed your self-respect. And the moment you raise Bauthus, the moment everything changes forever. Because if you're still breathing, then there is still becoming. The journey of self-development is not one you finish, it's one you master over and over again. And mastery is not a moment, it's a mindset. It's waking up every day and asking not, what can I get, but who can I become today that I wasn't yesterday? It's understanding that every level you reach exposes a new weakness to strengthen, a new lie to confront, a new truth to embody. And those who rise the highest are not those who avoid these battles, but those who go looking for them. They don't fear their flaws, they hunt them. Because they know that each weakness left unchallenged is a future limitation, a ceiling waiting to collapse, a fracture in the foundation of everything they're building. So they stay sharp, they stay humble, they stay hungry. The world may applaud them, the world may envy them, but they know they are only one unguarded day, one complacent season, one drop standard away from losing it all. That is the weight of greatness. You don't get to rise and then relax. You rise and then reinforce. You double down on the habits. You reinforce the mindset. You stay grounded in the values that brought you here. Because here's the truth. Success doesn't make you invincible. It makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable to ease, to pride, to distraction, to thinking you've arrived. But there is no arrival. There is only ascension. And the minute you stop climbing, gravity starts pulling you back. So climb, even when you're tired, especially when you're tired. Climb, even when it's raining, even when it's lonely, even when you can't see the summit, because the climb is where the character is carved. It's where vision is forged. It's where legacy is born. And legacy is what this is all about. Not the car, not the clothes, not the clout. Legacy, what you leave behind, what you build that outlives you, what people say about you when your name is spoken in rooms you'll never walk into. And you don't build legacy by chasing applause. You build it by becoming someone worthy of being remembered. You build it by becoming someone you can respect, because self-respect, that's the core. That's what self-development gives you. It's not just more money, it's more dignity, more integrity, more power in the way you walk, talk, breathe, live. It's knowing that you did not cheat your potential, that you met every challenge with courage, that you didn't fold when it got hard, that you didn't water down your vision to make others comfortable. It's knowing you became the person you once prayed you could be. That's the true reward. And it starts now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, so rise, not for the money, not for the recognition, but for the mission, for the people watching you, for the people who need your voice, for the generation that will be freer because you said yes to growth. Your income may never exceed your self-development, but neither will your impact. And that is why you keep going. That is why you don't quit. That is why you build and break and rebuild again. Because you were never chasing money. You were chasing mastery. And now you're becoming it. Then keep walking with me, because we are not done. Not until every last excuse is dead. Not until every dormant gift inside you is awake. Not until every ounce of strength, discipline, and clarity has been called forth and anchored into the life you are building. So let's talk about time. Time is not money. Time is life. And you are trading pieces of your life every single day for what? For convenience? For approval? For scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through someone else's highlight reel while your own dream withers in silence? Understand this. Your time is your most expensive currency. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose momentum and regain it. But the time you waste in mediocrity and comfort and procrastination that's gone forever, every wasted hour is a debt your future self has to pay. So protect your time like a king protects his kingdom. Guard it from energy thieves. Guard it from shallow conversations, from digital black holes, from every notification that pulls your focus away from your future. Because time is the silent multiplier. Every minute spent becoming is a seed. Every hour invested in your discipline, your health, your vision, it compounds. And every hour wasted on things that don't move the needle, that compounds too. You're either compounding your power or compounding your regret. And that's a brutal truth most will never face. But you're not most people. Most people wake up with no aim, no target, no strategy. They live on autopilot and call it normal. They drift and wonder why they feel empty. They consume and wonder why they feel powerless. They settle and wonder why their soul whispers at night, this isn't it. You wake up with intent. You open your eyes and say, today is mine. Mine to build. Mine to master. Mine to leave no doubt that I was herefully, boldly, relentlessly here. Because you're not just building a business or a brand or a career. You're building a legacy identity. The version of you that refuses to leave this world ordinary. And legacy isn't built in big moments. It's built in small choices repeated daily. The choice to journal when you could scroll. The choice to practice when no one's clapping. The choice to sit with your thoughts instead of silencing them with noise. The choice to ask hard questions. What do I need to stop pretending not to know? What truth am I avoiding? What part of me is still addicted to struggle because it's familiar? And then, face those truths with fire. Face them like a warrior sharpening his blade, knowing the next level of your life requires the next level of you. Because at the end of the day, it's not your lack of resources that's stopping you. It's your lack of reinvention. The unwillingness to kill off the version of you that was built to survive, so you can step into the one that's built to thrive. And let me remind you of this. There is nothing noble about staying small. Shrinking does not serve the world. Playing timid does not inspire others. Dimming your light does not make others shine. Brighter, it only blinds them to what's possible. So be bold. Be seen. Be unapologetically great. And not because the world owes you anything, but because you owe it to yourself to become everything you were designed to be. So grow. Keep growing. Grow until there's no version of you left that you'd trade places with. And when you get there, you won't stop. You'll rise again. Because growth is no longer your strategy. It's your identity. You wear growth like armor now. You don't seek comfort, you seek challenge. You crave the edge, the resistance, the tension that shapes men into titans, women into warriors, leaders into legends, because you've tasted the truth. Nothing in this life will fulfill you like becoming the person you were meant to be. And that person, that highest version of you, they're not somewhere out in the distance. They're not a decade away. They're already within you, buried under the lies you believed, the stories you inherited, the habits you never questioned. But now you're excavating them. Now every day you chip away at everything false, everything weak, everything fearful, everything inherited from people who meant well but never walked where you're headed. And what's left behind is something rare. Unbreakable self-respect, unshakable clarity, undeniable power. Because when you live in alignment with your highest values, when your actions mirror your intentions, when your behavior becomes a prophecy of the greatness you're stepping into, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become unfazed. You still get tested, but now you pass. You still feel fear, but now you move anyway. You still hear the noise, but now it can't touch you because your roots are deep. Your vision is bigger than your doubts, and your habits, they've become holy. Rituals of your future self, practice daily in the now. And that's the difference between those who dream and those who do. Dreamers fantasize about success. Doers train for it. Dreamers wait for the world to change. Doers become the change. Dreamers hope. Doers become hope personified, living proof that evolution is real. And it's available to anyone willing to burn the excuses to the ground and rise from the ashes of their old life. You are that proof. Every time you say no to the lesser version of yourself, you strengthen the one who's building an empire. Every time you push through the resistance, you reinforce the identity that will carry you to places most people will only ever see in their imagination. Every time you act in alignment with your highest vision, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you earn the right to call yourself free. And not the kind of freedom sold on billboards. Real freedom. The freedom of inner control. The freedom to wake up proud of who you are. The freedom to say, I built this. Not just the business, not just the bank account, but the mind, the discipline, the heart, the legacy. You built you, and no one can take that away. So keep building, with fire in your eyes, with truth in your chest, with vision in your stride. Because this world doesn't need more content creators. It doesn't need more influencers. It doesn't need more followers of trends. This world needs more builders of self. Men and women who stare down their past and choose their future. Who reject mediocrity not because it's wrong, but because it's not them. Who choose to rise every day because the cost of staying the same is too damn high. You are that kind of person. You are the one. And your income? It will rise. It will multiply. It will follow your growth like a shadow. because you've built the internal ecosystem where wealth, opportunity, and greatness thrive. But that is not your true reward. Your true reward is this. You will wake up one day, look in the mirror, and meet a person who doesn't flinch, a person who doesn't wait, a person who doesn't need to fake confidence because they earned it. That is wealth. That is success. That is freedom. And it was never out there. It was always waiting in you. A final breath, a final word. The journey doesn't end when the script finishes. The journey begins right now with you. You've heard the call. You've felt the fire. You've seen the mirror. Now the question is not, will you rise? The question is, how far are you willing to go to never fall back again? Because your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will never again fall below it. Now go, build, become, earn the right to meet your highest self, and never look back.